It seems like the officer has his own agenda and his own opinion, which he's most certainly entitled to, but putting it out on social media, I found very offensive. And his comment.
Good morning, guys. Welcome back to the channel. The video for today, we're going to be talking about the First Amendment and whether or not public servants and police officers are still afforded the same rights under the First Amendment as everybody else. The reason I'm talking about this today is because there was a video I released a couple days ago, and this was a video of the Civilian Review Board reviewing memes that I posted on my Instagram, and they were saying that they were deeply offended by the memes that I posted on the internet, and that they believed that my posting of memes was, what do they call it? Unbecoming conduct of an officer and violated my department's policies. A few people that commented on the video had some things to say, and one of the popular comments that I heard was, when you become a police officer, you lose your First Amendment rights. And then I also heard people saying, well, my employer can restrict what I say, and you're no different than me. Your employer can also restrict the things that you say. That is like partially true, but mostly false, I would say, specifically when it comes to being a public official. The main reason is that when you work for the government, the First Amendment is there to stop the government from interfering with your rights. So it's different from a private employer. The First Amendment is there to hold government to a standard, not to hold Pepsi to a standard, if that makes any sense. So if you say something that pisses Pepsi off, like if you are a well-known Pepsi employee and you post something that says, I only drink Coke, and you have a bottle of Coke, you can be fired for that. As a police officer or a public employee, your employer does not have that kind of authority over you. One of the tests that we're going to go over today, or where I'm getting this information, is when it comes to public employees and their rights to free speech. There was a case back in 1968, and this is called, the subject is now known as the Pickering Test. And the reason is, this was a case where a man, I think his name was Martin Pickering, was a school teacher, and he wrote an editorial in his local newspaper criticizing the school district and the way that they spent money. As a result of this editorial that he wrote in the local newspaper, he was terminated from his job, ended up taking it all the way to the Supreme Court, and was given his job back. The reasons that he was fired from his job is because he was an employee of the school district, and he publicly criticized the leadership of the school district. They said that that was a violation of their policy. They further said that he was creating a disruptive work environment amongst the school district. Therefore, he needed to be terminated. This is an article right here that's explaining a little bit about the Pickering test. It's a two-pronged test. I'm going to read this paragraph right here. It says, the test has two parts. The threshold part asks whether the public employee spoke on a matter of public concern as defined by a matter of larger societal significance or importance. If a public employee was disciplined for expression that is characterized as a more private grievance, then the employer prevails. If, however, a public employee spoke on a matter of public concern, then the court proceeds to the second part of the test, the so-called balancing prong. Under this prong, the court must balance the employee's right to free speech against the employer's interest in an efficient, disruptive, free workplace. So the First Amendment does apply to public servants as long as you're speaking on a matter of public concern, and then as long as you're not disrupting the day-to-day activity of the employer that you work for. And then the The court further went down. I'm not going to read the entire thing, but they said, you know what? If you have a teacher who is also a citizen and a taxpayer, and he has an opinion on a matter, in this particular case, it was where a levy had failed, and the school district announced that they were going to cut spending on certain academic process or academic programs due to not having enough money. But at the same time, they were upgrading athletic facilities. So this teacher who thought, athletics should be second to academics in the school district back in 1968, he wrote a letter to the editor criticizing the school district. So the way the school district spends money, the court decided that is in fact a matter of public concern. Then the school district argued, well, he's creating a disruptive workplace. He's a disgruntled employee and he's speaking out publicly. We can't have that. The court ruled that since he's speaking out against the district and the leadership of the district, he is protected under the First Amendment. It's not like he was complaining in the newspaper about the teacher whose room is next to him, saying that the teacher next to him can't keep his students quiet and all that, that kind of stuff, or some kind of private grievance between him and another teacher. Similarly, if a police officer were to write a book calling other members of that same police department that they might now be a supervisor of a bunch of racists, I think that would violate or would be one that's not protected speech under the First Amendment. But regardless of the fact, I think that if you have a police officer who wants to criticize the local government administration, like the mayor or city council or members like that, that would absolutely be speech that is protected under the First Amendment. And then there was a case further down the road. It was this Connick versus Meyer. I've got it right here. And this is one where this is like a district attorney's office type situation. And there was an attorney named Myers who was dismissed for undermining the boss's authority with a questionnaire that they passed out in the office. This is one where an attorney was upset with a transfer that they got from, one courtroom to another or something like that. And they thought that their boss was not a very good leader. So they actually disseminated a questionnaire asking the other people in the office if they thought their boss was a good leader and, whether or not this boss should be allowed to keep their job. The court ruled in that particular case that this Myers person, Sheila Myers, her questionnaire and the way she went about it actually created a small rebellion in their small office. Therefore, her First Amendment activity was no longer protected, if that makes any sense. And then I wanted to bring up this article here. I thought this was interesting. This is one where there was a police officer who was fired, and then another police officer, a member of the union of this jurisdiction in Johnstown somewhere. I didn't catch the state, but this person came out. Oh, it's in Rhode Island. Excuse me. This person came out and said, "Hey, you know what? I believe that guy was fired for political purposes," and he gave a speech to a local newspaper, the Providence Journal, on September the 16th, and in it he said that he heard, or let's see, he said that the officer who got in trouble was known for working by the book, said he would issue traffic tickets to anyone, including individuals who were related to or friendly with members of the administration, also ignored the unwritten rule that you should give that you should write more tickets that would be processed through municipal court than through Rhode Island Traffic Tribunal. As a result of him speaking to the media, says several days later, Chief whatever issued Brady with a violation of policies regarding the dissemination of information and conduct unbecoming of an officer. He was accused of bringing the department into disrepute and impairing the operation and efficiency of the department. Brady was suspended for 2 days. Basically, he filed a lawsuit. The ACLU and a couple other civil rights organizations backed him on this, and he won his lawsuit. So he was able to get the money back that he lost in his 2-day suspension, which was somewhere around $500. His attorney fees, which were about $60,000, were paid by the city. And the city was ordered by the court to change that policy with regard to dissemination of information, because they ruled that he was speaking on a matter of public concern, and that his speech, while it was speaking out against the chief of police and the city administration, he was not directly creating an environment where his local, like his small unit, would not be able to function. So that is the Pickering test, and those are the elements that people have to consider when they're deciding whether or not a public servant has the right to free speech. So I'm going to go back to this one real quick. I'm going to make a whole video about it at some point in the future. But I just want to ask you, if there was a police officer who wanted to make a statement about a local elected political official within the jurisdiction where that police officer lives and is a taxpayer, do you think that that local political official has the authority to tell that officer he can't speak ill of him? That is the question. Thanks for watching. There's going to be more of this to come. Some that's going to be a little bit more specific in the very near future. I'll talk to you guys later.